Okay, Mike Masato, CEO of Staff Driven Dental and the Dental Road Warrior, returning for episode 94 in the series. So today's topic is what I like to call the DDS Disconnect, or the DMD Disconnect, whatever way, what title you have, when it comes to your practice. What do I mean by that? Most dentists that I meet and that I work with, are connected in the practice in the sense that they do show up and they're there. It can be extreme that they don't want to be there. That does happen sometimes too. That's a whole other video. But for the most part, docs, you're there, but you're disconnected from different parts of your practice. In other words, you'll be connected to the clinical part of your practice, but everything else, or various parts of practice, various parts of the business, you are not connected to. Now, what do I mean by that? All right, like I said, so the clinical part is automatic. It's just, you just go in and just do it. You got patients in the schedule. You go in, you go over them, you attack the day, you treat your patients usually phenomenally well, and deliver great clinical work, and that's kind of where it stops at that point. And they're off into their next appointment or whatever, So and we go from there, and that's great. Being clinically connected, and that's only one part of the deal. That's like just showing up and doing your work. That was the old days of dentistry. Hey, I put out a shingle, I'm in business, I go to work, I see patients, I see, I diagnose, I treat, that kind of thing. It's a different era now, and there's other parts of practice you have to be connected to, whether it's management and being an owner and a leader and a business person in your practice, and not being connected to your personnel. Another gigantic area, which is a gigantic downfall for doctors, because you're not in communication with your staff the way you should be. We don't do things like morning huddles the way we should. That's the time to be in communication with your team. We don't do staff meetings. We don't do reviews. We don't have team get-togethers and do things as a team, develop team building exercises and whatever. All right, you're not engaged in the hiring process or the firing process, or you don't want to confront or deal with the hiring and firing process. Another big area of being disconnected from your practice. And to what detriment? By not being connected and being aware of what's going on. Because when you're disconnected to other parts of your practice, you don't even know what's going on. Another big one is the numbers. Not being connected, being disconnected from your statistics and knowing your numbers and not having this information. I still to this day, in the advanced era we are, to be able to track things on computers with software and everything else, many doctors still do not know their numbers. They don't know what they do from day to day, month to month, year to year, until their accountant gives them the good or bad news, at the end of a year or whenever they do their taxes, or if it's quarterly or whatever. It can't be disconnected from your numbers. Now, that's the lifeline of your practice, is your financials coming in. Why do we do this? It's great. Yeah, it is a business though. You have to know what kind of money you're making. If you don't know, if you're not looking at losses and profits, and growth and other statistical monitors, what's going to happen? Before you know it, you're not even aware. I didn't know what's going on. And then if you're not aware of what's going on, you can't fix it if it needs attention. Or if it's doing well, great. What am I doing here that's making it go so good? So we're kind of disconnected from that whole part of our practice, right? So we don't do that. But again, the team. And as I mentioned, the numbers are a big thing. Day to day, the way the practice is run, because we get tunnel vision. We get disconnected from what's going on over the course of a day. We could be in our own little room doing our thing, but we're like tunnel vision focused on just that patient, what's going on in my immediate vicinity. We're not even aware of what's going on. We're just kind of disconnected to the day-to-day of the stuff that's happening in the practice. Sometimes we're lucky enough to hear some things here and there, but then we go back to our work. I'll get back to that, and we never do. Or I got to address that. What she said, or what I heard, or what just happened up at the front, or whatever, and that kind of just goes along. Just gets swept under the rug, and we forget all about that. Right? So there are little elements of practice of the day-to-day that could be going on right inside your practice. And I've heard docs tell me, I've heard them hear sabotage going on in their practice, like some team members doing things, whether it's against policy, against protocol, things that are to the detriment of the practice in many ways. It could be as simple as letting money walk out the door constantly all the time, and we don't do anything about it. We're just kind of disconnected from it. We just kind of let it go. I don't want to be confrontational, is the thing I hear all the time. You don't want to get involved, with the things that are non-optimum in the practice, which again, big mistake. You can't be disconnected from this kind of stuff. You need to be engaged with this kind of stuff, because again, it's costing you. Every little thing that goes on in that practice that is done, or not done, the incorrect way or the wrong way is problematic. And again, we don't want to look at this kind of stuff. And part of coaching, puts you back in communication with your practice. Good coaching should put you back in communication and reconnect you with your people, your patients. Look, we have to be connected with our patients, ongoing communication to them, whether it's through social media, whether it's through email, whether it's through text, whether it's through reviews, whether it's through different contests and things that we do in the practice, and having conversation with our patients every day. One of the things I teach in the morning huddle is like, what conversations are you going to have with your patients today when they come in? Not like what treatment that has to be done. That's just automatic. That's part of the deal. When you go into the practice, it's like what conversations you're going to have with them, because that puts you connected with them and talk to them. A lot of this starts off with a new patient experience when patients come in for the first time, and I just saw this recently as well. There was a doctor we were working with that we found out that the doctor's not even there when new patients are coming in. Hygienists are seeing them, which is, I don't understand how that works, and a lot of it should not be done. But and then there'll be days when doctors they're in the office, and they may see them for a few minutes when they come as a new patient, but they're in the hygiene schedule, and we spend a few minutes with them. How are you going to get connected or be connected and build a bond and a relationship with your patients, right, if you're not spending time with them and really being connected with them in communication, personally with each other, and that kind of thing? How is that going to happen? And that needs to be built in, because it's very easy to get caught up in the day-to-day of practice, and before you know it, you don't even know what's going on, right? So you have to train yourself, train your team to be connected to each other and to your patients, and put in systems for this to occur, and put in structures for communication so this stays in place, all right? Because that disconnect is deadly to your practice. You think about it. Okay, what happens? Let's use a clinical analogy here. What happens if the nerve that's going to a tooth, right, is no longer in communication with that tooth? Like it's damaged, or it's cut off, or it's dead. What's going to happen? Obviously, the tooth's going to die out. There's no more energy, or no more life force going to that tooth. Well, guess what? It's the same thing with your practice. The more disconnected you are to what's going on around you, other than clinical or the different to the really critical elements of your practice, the more disconnected as you are to the business of the practice and your people in the practice, right, the more detrimental it's going to be in the long run. And this is where it all starts. This is one of the key source point areas right there. And you have a responsibility, and I've said this before, as an owner, your name's on the door. You have to own what's going on there every single day, for better or for worse. And it starts with being there and being connected, and being present there in the practice. That you set the tone for the whole day. How you come in and how you are right from the beginning. Are you connected, or are you kind of like in your own head and in your own world of what's going on? Because you know what? There's a whole big world going on around you, all right, that you influence and you impact, for better or for worse. You need to be aware of that on every level, because that's going to help you really succeed and take the practice to new levels of growth and development like never before. All right. So again, if you're looking for my help, you're looking for some coaching help, please reach out to me at staffdriven.com. Reach out to me at dentalcoachingondemand.com. I'm more than happy to give you some of my time and talk personally with you if you're watching this. If you're enjoying these videos, please share them with others, and I'll be back soon with another episode and some of my insights.